Imagine a world where debt is just a personal struggle, it's a global machine, carefully engineered to make the rich richer while keeping the rest of us forever dependent. A system so invisible, so tightly controlled, that most people don't even notice it running in the background of their lives. Every loan, every interest payment, every government bailout is not random. It's part of a carefully designed economic game, and the rules are stacked against the average person. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the invisible hand that controls global debt and reveal how elites have turned what should be money into a tool for permanent power. To understand how this system works, we need to go back centuries. The modern financial system didn't emerge by accident, it was crafted deliberately, piece by piece. It begins with central banking. The first truly powerful central bank, the Bank of England, was founded in 1694. Its original purpose, to fund wars and government debt. Over time, these institutions perfected a formula: issue money, lend it at interest, and watch it grow in value while the borrower struggles to pay it back. Key figures like the Rothschild family exploited this mechanism to consolidate wealth during the 18th and 19th centuries. They weren't the only ones. International financiers quietly created a system where national debt became a private profit engine. And here's the twist: this same structure hasn't disappeared, it evolved. Today, it operates globally, touching every bank account, every government budget, every mortgage, and even the way corporations borrow. The origins of this invisible hand lie in a simple but brutal truth: money itself is debt. When a government or bank issues currency, it's essentially issuing a promise, a loan to the public. That currency only exists because someone else owes interest on it. From the first European wars funded by bonds to the creation of the Federal Reserve in 1913, each step was designed to give a small elite group the ability to create wealth from nothing, while everyone else accumulates obligations. The mathematical trick of compound interest ensures that over time, debt grows exponentially, making the system inherently biased in favor of those who already control capital. By the 20th century, this invisible hand had spread globally. Governments, desperate for funding during wars and economic crises, increasingly borrowed from private banks rather than relying on tax revenue. Every major crisis, whether the Great Depression, post-World War II Reconstruction, or the 2008 financial crash, became an opportunity for banks and financiers to expand their influence. Through practices like bailouts, securitization of debt, and interest-based money creation, elites could extract wealth from entire nations without ever holding a public office. Citizens, meanwhile, were left with growing personal debt, declining purchasing power, and limited understanding of the system controlling their financial lives. Every system reaches a breaking point, and debt-based economies are no exception. When the cost of servicing debt surpasses economic growth, instability sets in. Look at the 2008 financial crisis. Trillions of dollars in mortgages were bundled, sold, and leveraged to the hilt. Millions lost homes, but banks received bailouts, and the elite remained insulated from the fallout. The pattern repeated: history, risk and loss on the public side, reward and security for the few controlling the system. Even sovereign nations aren't immune. Greece, Argentina, and other heavily indebted countries faced austerity and social unrest, while international creditors profited from high interest and fees. The invisible hand doesn't just manage money, it manages power. The fallout from this system is predictable but rarely acknowledged. Widening wealth inequality, political manipulation, and economic dependence are all direct consequences. For the average person, the consequences are subtle yet pervasive: student loans that take decades to repay, mortgages that consume a lifetime of income, and inflation that silently erodes savings. Meanwhile, the elite reinvest profits from debt into assets, corporations, and financial instruments that generate more money with less risk. Debt is no longer just a tool, it's a weapon of economic control. And the more society relies on borrowed money, the more entrenched this invisible hand becomes. History is littered with attempted fixes, debt jubilees, inflation controls, and financial regulations. Some offered temporary relief, but none disrupted the underlying structure. Why? Because the system isn't broken, it works exactly as designed. Every attempt to regulate banks or cap interest rates eventually encounters loopholes, lobbying, or financial innovation that restores the advantage to the few. The lessons are stark. Superficial reforms will never address a fundamentally rigged system. Fast forward to today. Global debt exceeds $300 trillion, and interest payments alone drain trillions from governments annually. The same invisible hand that built this system centuries ago is still operating. Tech billionaires, multinational banks, and international financial institutions use derivatives, complex lending, and asset speculation to extract value faster than most people can earn it. Citizens may notice rising costs, but the mechanics remain hidden. Debt is still the lever by which wealth and influence are concentrated. Even crises like the COVID-19 pandemic became a mechanism for further consolidation. Stimulus packages, quantitative easing, and low-interest loans kept corporations alive while smaller businesses and households bore most of the long-term cost. Key takeaways. 1. Debt is power, not just money owed, but a system of influence controlled by a select few. 2. The system is self-perpetuating. Every crisis, every bailout, and every loan strengthens the elite's position. 3. Understanding is the first defense. Knowledge of how debt works is the first step toward resisting financial manipulation. The invisible hand in going away. If we continue to treat debt as inevitable, the cycle will continue: more wealth for the few, more dependency for the many. The question isn't whether you can escape it, but how aware you are of its grip. If this video changed the way you think about money, debt, and power, share it with someone who needs to see the truth. And hit subscribe to keep uncovering the secrets that shape our world, because knowledge is the only weapon that can fight this invisible hand.